The ultimate guide to playing Kayo on a budget. Hello and welcome to the table, and today I'm back with another Super Slam budget deck tech video. This time, once again, talking about Super Slam, but Silver Age and Classic Constructed. If you are just getting into Flesh and Blood and you think Kayo is the option for you, or you want to try out Kayo and you don't want to break the bank, try out this Silver Age list. But if you want to upgrade past Silver Age and you want to get into Classic Constructed, but not sell 2 of your kidneys, then I got a budget Classic Constructed deck list for Kayo as well. But to start things off, we got the Silver Age Kayo Strong Arm. This guy is interesting. I thought he was awful. I didn't think that there was anything about him that was interesting or cool or anything of the sort in any way whatsoever. I thought this guy was a complete waste of time, waste of a hero. Nothing cool about him. Just the most bland. I didn't like this guy. I didn't think he was cool. But I was wrong. This guy is underrated. I will say it. I did not believe it, but he is underrated. This guy is good. He can be really good. So his 20 health, 4 intellect, reviled brute hero says you start the game with 1 weapon zone. I mean, it's Kayo. It's Kayo's little specialty. He can only have 1 weapon. We all know it. Kayo's got 1 arm. Whatever. Whenever the Kayo boosts you, you create a vigor token. At the start of your turn, Pops gives you a resource. Okay, fine, I guess. At instant speed, you can spend 4 resources. 4 freaking resources. Are you kidding me? Tap Kayo Strong Arm, and target attack action you control has a base power of 6. Okay. 4 resources? Are you kidding me? That's insane. But there is a strategy behind this deck, and you'll see why that is here in a second. But getting into the equipment and the weapon, let's talk about those a little bit first. We got Mandible Claw, 3 power, 2 cost weapon to attack with. If you discard a card with 6 or more, it can get go again. You know, it's nothing insane. It's just if you need it, you need it. It's cool. It's a cool little weapon to do some stuff with if you need to. It's not really the big point of the deck, though, as weirdly as it is compared to the last Kayo deck that we got. The last Kayo, loves Mandible Claw, but this guy doesn't really care too much about Mandible Claw. It's a nice thing to have, don't get me wrong, but it's not the main part of the game plan, or you don't care about it as much in the sense of the game plan as the last Kayo, but still. Then in the equipment, we got Laughing Knee Slappers, a 1-block Blade Break leg piece that if you control Might and a Vigor token, it does get +2 defense, so it can block for 3. That is definitely something. That is not something to laugh at. So that can be pretty decent, but on top of that, you also got a couple other things. You got Gauntlet of Might, which can block for 1 Blade Break, or as an action, you could pop it, create a Might token. So it can be, it can be easier, at least, to get Laughing Knee Slappers to, get you that Might token part of the portion or whatever. You can also use Horns of the Despised when it defends. The crowd boos you, blocks for 1 Blade Break, so that can get you a Vigor token thanks to Kayo. So if you use Gauntlet and you use Horns of the Despised, their abilities, I mean, technically you're blocking with this one to get its ability, then you can block with this for 3. That ain't bad. But on top of that, you also got Bark Bone Strapping, you can block for 1 Battle Worn, and at instant speed you can pop it, roll a 6-sided die, gain resources equal to half the number rolled rounded down. You can also replace this with Garland of Spraying. I think either one works really well. If you want to be a little bit more gamely, you can run this. If you don't, run the Garland of Spraying. I don't think there's anything wrong with not having this in the list, because it can, brick, and that can really suck. But so, getting into the list itself, why is it that Kayo effect isn't as bad as you think? First off, a very, 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 very big part of the game plan is the crowd booing you, so you can get that Vigor token, so you can get that extra resource at the start of your turn, to where all you need to do is pitch a blue and turn something that wasn't 6 into 6. Now, how do we do that? Well, we are going to be playing a card called Mocking Blow. A lot of them. We got the red one, we got the yellow one, we got the blue one, we got all of them. All of them. And they're all pretty good. So Mocking Blow is a 0 cost, 1 powered, 3 block and reviled action. Doesn't have go again. But when it attacks a hero, if you have more life than them, the crowd boos you. Okay, so the next turn you can set up a Vigor token. That's nice. But on top of that, If you bamboo this turn, it gets +4 power. So that's pretty sweet too. But the most important thing about this card is the fact that if you have the ability to play this, you have a Vigor token that pops, and the whole crowd boos you. If the crowd boos you, it gets +4 more power. You pitch a blue on top of the resource you got from the Vigor token. Boom. Now this is a 3-cost 10 attack. That said, the crowd boos you, so you get that Vigor token for your next turn, so you can play another Mocking Blow, and then the ball can get rolling. So you're taking something like this Kayo ability that seems really awful, but then you turn it into something really dumb, because, taking something like a Flex Strength, which, costs 2 for 4 power, but if it has 6 or more, it gets +3 power. Well, if you pitch 2 blues to this, you don't even have a Vigor token. You pitch 2 blues to this has 9 power. Then you do some extra little shenaniganry, making some might tokens with something like a Cruel Ambition, and all of a sudden, it gets way more powerful, way scarier. Because all of a sudden, this thing's coming in for 12 damage for 6 resources. Which, that's not anything insane, but like big damage. Taking something that's little and making it absolutely freaking massive. And Mocking Blow is the centerpiece of that game plan. So how do you buff all the things in your deck? Yes, you have Mocking Blow that can buff itself, but that's only 6 cards out of the entire 40 cards of the deck. So how do you buff your stuff? You got Barraging Beatdown. It intimidates the opponent, costs nothing. It's a Brood action with Go Again, blocks for 3. So your next Brood attack this turn gets, when it's defended by less than 2 non-equipment cards, +4 power. Boom. Added to it. That's pretty sweet. Can get bigger, intimidates your opponent, forces them to block. There's nothing bad about the card. You got Cruel Ambition, like I've already talked about, gets you 3 might tokens. That can be great for you. And also, if you made Vigor tokens, all of a sudden, Laughing Knee Slappers can block for 3 way more easily. You don't have to, do some any extra shenanigan with the Gotland Might, and you can get the block value out of that. You got some cards like Prime the Crowd, 2 cost, generic action Go Again. The crowd boos you. It also cheers each revered hero, so hopefully you don't play against any revered heroes when you're playing this card. But the next attack action you play this turn gets +4 power. That's a nice bonus, so you can get a Vigor token from the Kayo Strong Arm. And, you're also getting a little bit of a buff on your next attack. That ain't bad. Revolting Gesture, 1 cost, Go Again, Revolved Action, creates you a might token, and gives your next attack +3 power. That's sweet. Villainous Pose, crowd boos you for 2 resources and gives your next team +4 power. It's basically a Prime the Crowd with no downsides, so that's sweet. You got the blue Barraging Beatdown, which is the same thing, but it's only +2 power, and it is a blue instead, so there's nothing bad about that. We got a couple of other cards that can be really nice. We got the blue Villainous Pose. We got the blue, where is it at? Concealed Object. When it enters, the crowd boos you, and on top of that, at instant speed, you can tap it, target attack gets +1 power, and at the start of your end phase, you pop it. It gets destroyed. So it can be a blue, or it can give you a buff, and, get you a Vigor token. There ain't too many downsides to this card, if any. But yeah. So a lot of the game plan is just playing these buff cards. If you're not, playing these buff cards, and your big attacks, you want to be defending, because you want to make sure that you can get the crowd to boo you. You want to keep your life above your opponent, so you also want to have a decent amount of defense. You want cards like On the Horizon that block for 4, and when defense, you get to look at the top card of your deck, so you get a little hint of what's going to be going on in the future. That ain't bad. Disdainful Delight can block for 4 if you've been booed this turn, or just blocks for 3 and it pitches for 2. There ain't nothing insanely bad about that or anything. On top of that, you got the rest of the woos, and you got all of your attacks. So you got a couple of things to defend, but a lot of the deck is just buffing and playing things that get the bonuses of the buffings. So you got Looking for Scraps, that's really good in this deck. Cost 1, comes in for 4, blocks for 2. As an initial cost to play it, you can banish a card with 1 power from your yard, and if you do, it gets +1 power and Go Again. Why is that in the deck? Because Mocking Blows are a big part of the deck, and they all conveniently have 1 power. Sure, that can get buffed to 6 base power thanks to Kayo's ability, but they do have 1 base power, initially speaking. So looking for a scrap can get rid of those, can banish one of those away, and it's coming in for 5 go-agains. That ain't too bad for 1 resource, not gonna lie. On top of that, you got the Mocking Blows that we've talked about already, the Flex Strength that we've talked about already. You got a couple of other cards, mostly the blues. You got the blue Flex Strengths that are the same thing, but they come in for 2 power, which honestly, arguably, the blue can be stronger than the red. It pitches for 3, it blocks for 3, so it's a blue block 3 that can still basically come in for the same amount of damage because you're generally going to be playing this when you can put it up to 6 base power, so that ain't bad. And it can be coming in for 9 if you use, Kaio's ability. That can also be coming in for 9, but it only pitches for 1. So it's like, the blue can be stronger, is what I'm trying to say here. You also got Instill Fear, 0 cost, 1 power. When it attacks a hero, you intimidate them. So another 1 power you can manage to looking for a scrap. Or just something that comes in for 1 that you can buff to 6 base power with Kaio's ability. That ain't bad. Also, there's Overload, does something similar. Has Dominate. When it hits, it gets Go Again. So this is secretly like a pretty powerful chain extender if you need it to be, because you can play this and all of a sudden, boom, use Kaio's ability, buff it up to 6 base power. 6 Dominate, that if it hits, gets Go Again, is pretty solid, and it's going to be pretty hard for your opponent to not, or to at least block this out. Or they're using a ton of their equipment, which ain't bad for you either. But if it does hit, then you could play something like a Mocking Blow, and you put 4 or 5 more damage on your opponent, or at least threaten 5 or more, or 4 or 5 more damage. That ain't too bad. You also got, Offensive Behavior. This isn't a super bad card either. Sure, it doesn't have 1 base power, but it has 2. And if you control a Might or Vigor token, it gets +1 power. And if it hits a hero, you create a Might and Vigor token. It comes in for 0 resources. And it pitches for 3 and blocks 3. So worst case scenario, you can use it for either of those things too. So basically, the whole point of the deck, like I said before, is just you play a bunch of things to buff your things, and you play a little thing that's not a little thing because you're using Kaio's ability. You want to have the crowd boo you a ton, so you can make the bigger tokens, so you can only activate Kaio's ability for 3 resources, and then you can play something like a Mocking Blow for 10 damage for 3 resources thanks to Kaio's ability. I mean, that's insane. That's nuts. That's stupid. It's awesome. That's what we want to do. That is the whole game plan. But besides that, we got the inventory to talk about as well, if you need to be a little bit more defensive, stuff like that. So we got some arcane preventing stuff, like Oasis Respect. It's not like the most insane card by any means, but for 1 resource, preventing 4 damage, that would be dealt by a single source, and potentially gaining life, that could be really nice. Arcane Polarity, if you've been dealt arcane damage, gains you 4 life. That's pretty awesome. We know these cards. No Rune Boots, No Rune Hood. The reason that those are in the deck is because, the big defensive cards are Horns of the Despised and Laughing Knee Slappers, especially this Laughing Knee Slappers. So if your opponent's playing Arcane, like a Wizard or something, these cards aren't going to really do a lot for you, unless you're playing against something like Icelander, I guess, but still, even then, it's best to just take those out, replace them with the Arcane Barrier. On top of that, if you need to be a little bit more defensive, you got the Springboard Somersault that, when played from the Arsenal, blocks for 4. That ain't bad. And it pitches for 2, so that ain't too bad either. But then there's also Cheap Shot, which that can be a decent card every now and then. I think it's a decent card to have in Reviled, at least for Silver Age, Reviled sideboards. Pitches for 2, costs nothing. If you bend Boo this turn, which I think is a pretty important thing in this deck, can be played at instant speed, and it deals 2 damage to target hero unless they discard a card, which either way, you kind of take it. I mean, generally speaking, you wouldn't want to have your opponent down 1 more card in their hand. If you can get it, because then that's less cards that they can use to defend your thing. That's going to be a big thing, and then it can be easier for your opponent to die. But otherwise, getting dealt 2 damage, that ain't too bad either. Let's be real. But yeah, Cheap Shot ain't a bad card. So that's kind of the deck. We know what it does. And if you want to upgrade this to a Classic Constructed list, and you don't want to break the bank, check out this list. So then, we got the Classic Constructed Kaio list. Pretty similar. It's got 40 life. Also has 1 weapon zone. Whenever the crowd cheers or boos you, you create a Vigor token. Instant speed, you can spend 4. Give target attack action with, 6 base power. It's weird. You just want to have the crowd boo you. You want the crowd to boo you through the Mocking Blows, through the Villainous Poses, through the Cheater's Charms, through the boos, through Concealed Object. I love this card's name so much. Booze, just a big old brew, just drinking all this stuff, and it's just going all over the place. But yeah, you want the opponent, or you want to get booed, so you can get Kyle to make you that Vigor token. So all you need to do is pitch 1 blue, turn one of your little crappers, like Mocking Blow, into a 6 base power, that all of a sudden that Mocking Blow is coming in for 10. It's pretty similar if you just watch the Silver Age portion. It's the same thing. You just want to play a little thing, make it a big thing, do stupid things. And, you know, coming in, or when looking at the inventory, or the equipment and the weapon, we got Mandible Claw. Not a super big deal, but it can come in, you know, for 3 damage for 2 resources. If you discard something with 6 or more power, it can get go again. Generally speaking, it's not going to do you a ton, but if you need it for some damage, it could be pretty valuable. We got Snapdragon Scalers to turn one of your little things, like, I don't know, a Mocking Blow, a Bully Tactic, something with 1 or less cost. Give it go again at attack reaction speed. Knucklehead can just block for 2 temper, pretty much. Blade Beckoner Gauntlets can block for 1 Guardwell, maybe 2 if it's defending a weapon, or just 1 Guardwell. Then it gets bumped up to 2, and it's blocking for 1 effectively when it's then blocking a weapon. So it can block for 2, essentially. Either spread out, or all in one go, or just for 1, which I don't really know why you would want to do that. But anyways, besides the point. Blade Beckoner Gauntlets, it can block. And then Barkbone Strapping can also block, but at instant speed, you can pop it, roll a 6-sided die, gain resources equal to half the number rolled rounded down. You can also replace this with Garland of Spring, like I said in the Silver Age version, but if you want to be a little bit gambly, you got the Barkbone Strapping. But this list, very similar to the Silver Age list, except it's got a couple of Majestics and Super Rares and whatnot. But basically, you're playing a little crapper, you're using it to do stupid things like with the Bully Tactics here. Pitch a blue, intimidate your opponent 3 times. And all of a sudden, you pitch another blue, thanks to, you know, hopefully having a Vigor token, and then, you know, that Kaio effect, and then all of a sudden, this is coming in for 6 damage. That ain't bad. Big Bully. This card, if it attacks a hero, and if you have more life than them, it grab boos you. And if you've been booed this turn, it gets double the base power. So if it's coming in for, let's say, it has 6 base power. I don't know why it would have 6 base power. It's not like your hero does that. Then it's coming in for 12 damage. That is not bad at all. I mean, if you're pitching, you know, if you have no ability to make Vigor tokens, you pitch 4 to Kaio and then 2 more to the Big Bully or something like that. You're pitching 2 blues and you're coming in for 12 damage. That ain't bad. That ain't bad. Let's be real here. That is not a bad thing by any means. Now you might be wondering why Big Bully, Bully Tactics, and Mocking Blow are all 2-ofs. Why is that? Because of this little card, Outside Interference. A 3 pitch, 0 block, 6 power, 3 cost. Really weird card. But at instant speed, you can discard it, reveal a reviled action card from your inventory, and put it into your hand. So we got a couple of different cards. We got Big Bully, we got Bully Tactics, we got Mocking Blow, we got the 3rd copy of each of those, and then, you know, in niche scenarios when you need it, the old switcheroo. You can read what this card does. It basically can, you know, do some shenaniganry with clashes. If you need it, you need it. And then, you know, besides that, Mocking Blow, Bully Tactics, Big Bully, just the 3rd copy of those, just to basically say, hey, you got 5 copies of these, by the way. Or not exactly, but kind of in a sense. Well, 6, sort of. It's weird. Anyways. But besides that, the blues are pretty similar. You're just using them to either get the crowd boo you or get slightly big buffs from cards like Villainous Pose every now and then. Get some shenaniganry to happen with something like a Steel Victory. A pretty decent super rare that can steal aura tokens when attacking. You know, when the defending hero. That is not a bad thing by any means. Because, you know, auras are pretty popular lately. You also got Overcrowded, which is a pretty stupid card. Like, the more I look at this card, the more I'm like, this card's really dumb. For similar reasons to the last one. Auras are pretty popular lately. Aura tokens also as well. But yeah, anyways. Then, you know, you got the other blues, you know, the attackers, the things that you're going to want to buff sometimes when you want. You got 3 yellow and 3 blue Mocking Blows. Because, Mocking Blow's a pretty big deal in the deck. Because, if the crowd boos you, you can pitch 3 to this, and then you hopefully got that bigger token, and then all of a sudden it's coming in for 9 damage for 3 resources, or 10 damage for 3 resources, or 8 damage for 3 resources, all of which are above rate. It's like nothing but good stuff. And you buff your stuff with Villainous Poses, and Pummels, which Pummel is a stupid card. Looking for a scrap to make the chain a little bit wider to get rid of one of your Mocking Blows. Banish one of those Mocking Blows from the pitch zone or whatever. You got Show of Strength. This card's an awesome card. It's a 2 for freaking 8 resource, or for 8 damage. Blocks for 3. Now granted, it gets a little bit of power deduction for each card with 6 or more defending it, but yeah, whatever. It's got super cool art. Who cares? Oh, this art is actually just insane. I will say that. This is some of the best art I have seen in anything in Flesh and Blood. But then, you got a couple of ways to defend because, for the crowd to boo you, you have to have more life than them. So, you got Fiddler's Green. Blocks for 1, gains you 3 life when it's put into a yard from anywhere. That's awesome. Sink Blow. Block for 4. We know it. We love it. Sigil Assault. Gains you 3 life. Like, it's just good stuff. It's good stuff. It's just good stuff. So you just want to play the things that do really stupid things because that sentence made so much sense. Basically, you're just gonna do dumb things to your opponent. You're gonna bully them. You're gonna be a little big bully. Like, you're playing little things that are big things. So you're gonna be a little big bully. And then just completely dominate your opponent and bash them in the face and make them cry. So yeah. If you're a good person and you want to prove yourself to be a good person to the people at your LGS, you could play Kayo. But then besides that, when looking at the inventory, you got a couple of more ways to defend with Fate Foreseen. If you're playing against an arcane damage dealing deck, you got Oasis Respites, and then you also got some arcane barrier stuff with the Null Rune Gloves that has some arcane barrier preventing this. You also got Skullhorn that has Arcane Barrier 2. That can be pretty good against certain wizard decks out there. You also got a really dumb card in Strongest Survive, a card that I love so much. This card is really, really good in Silver Age when playing any Brute deck ever, and I cannot wait to build a Kayo, not this Kayo, but Heavy Hitters Kayo Silver Age deck, and have 3 copies of this, and have my dad play it against me, and then say, hey, I no longer love this card, I absolutely despise it. It's like, when I was building One Piece decks, I said the same thing with Hody Jones. Granted, I said that with a lot of other cards too, like Kikunojo, but that trigger makes me cry. But anyways, getting past the One Piece stuff that I was just talking about. So you're doing some stupid shenaniganry. If you need more, shenaniganry and bullying and interaction, you got Strongest Survive. You need more defenses, you got Fate Foreseen and Oasis Respite and other stuff. If you need to find a random thing out of outside interference, you got the third bully, the third blow. It doesn't have bully in the name. You got the third switcheroo. But yeah, you got a lot of stuff going for you. So this deck, it's weird. I did not think that it would work, but it kind of works. Like, weirdly enough, it kind of works. Both all that aside, I hope that you all enjoy this video. Hope you all are enjoying Super Slam. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It's completely free, your own guys. And have a great rest of your day, everybody. See you next time.